Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Off the Board, combined with Scrapbooking from the Heart. This month our prompt was about vacation, and that could be like you need a vacation from everyday life, you need a mental break. It could be all kinds of different things. I chose to do something a little bit different, and I am documenting how when my kids were young and we were homeschooling, our vacations oftentimes look like school, and sometimes our school looked like vacation. So it's a little bit different take on it, but it was definitely something that I wanted to document and hadn't documented yet, so I thought this was a good time to go ahead and talk about that. So I started out creating this cut file where it's going to say sometimes school looks like vacation, and I did this on my silhouette. I have been really enjoying using the silhouette and making creative titles recently, so that's been a lot of fun. And I think there's a big impact with these kind of titles, so I'm just enjoying it so much. I really enjoy the look of combining the block letters with the scripty letters and having them overlap in areas, and having things nestle in between, and being able to modify all of that by using the computer. So hopefully you enjoy that look as well. And so anyway, also wanted to tell you that you can check out everybody else who is playing along with Scrapbooking from the Heart and with Off the Board. All of the links are down in my description box down below. Off the Board, this is the official day that we do Off the Board. It's the last Wednesday of the month, but for the month of July we've been doing it every day. So tons of inspiration on my channel, and you can go back and check that out. As far as Scrapbooking from the Heart, we do that on the 28th of the month, and you can go back throughout the months for 2021 and find all kinds of inspiration for Scrapbooking from the Heart. Each month we have a different prompt, and so it's been a lot of fun. These are more journaling based or story based versus event based, if you will. So what I did here is I took that top piece of paper. I toyed with putting the title on the other side, but it didn't look as good. It wasn't as bold. And so I used the more plain side of the paper, and I used my fishy stencil, which I love so much, and some white paper glaze. And I went ahead and put the paper glaze through and created that little fishy background, which I thought was perfectly fitting with these photos of the kids at this watering hole. Not as in a drinking watering hole, but a water hole that you can swim in. And these photos were taken on Santa Cruz Island, which is the largest of the Channel Islands off the coast of California, Southern California. A lot of people have heard of Catalina. Santa Cruz is right next to it, and it is larger than Catalina, but it is not populated like Catalina, and it's not touristy. So I have the unique experience that my uncle lives out there. He runs the field station for UC Santa Barbara, or at least he did. He is semi-retired now, but he still lives out there and takes care of a whole bunch of different things. And he's like one of like 10 people that live out there. So we had a unique experience where we got to take 20 homeschoolers. Well, there were probably 12 homeschoolers, maybe 12 or 15 homeschoolers and their families out there, and study the area, the geography, the species that live out there, just the topography, all kinds of things that were going on with the nature and the island out there. So it was a study in history and in science, and the kids really enjoyed it. They did a lot of reports and a lot of, they each picked a topic that they wanted to study more in depth and then presented it to the other kids that were in the group. And so that was a lot of fun. So on this particular day, we were just taking a break, and we walked it's about 2.5, 3 miles from the field station down to this um, area where they could swim. It's called La Cascada, and it was a hot day, so we decided to go swimming. And so this is basically that when school is looking like vacation because they're all jumping in the water, having a blast. But really, it was still a learning experience because they're still, as we were walking along, we're looking at the tracks, and we're looking at different things that the kids could learn about, basically. So yeah, there was tracks, there was scat, there was all kinds of different things, and talking about it as we go. So I created that little shaker pocket. It took me a while there. I was trying to use my punch, and my punch would not get in far enough to go ahead and cut it. So I ended up having to cut that circle, the white circle around the edge. I ended up having to cut that on my silhouette because I did not have a punch that would cut the circle and cut around the words and everything the way that I wanted it to. So it was quite a bit of a chore, but it worked, and I really like how it looks. And I thought it was a really fun little piece. Now I'm adding those pieces, those banner pieces, up onto the right hand side at the top. It says, let's freeze this moment, which I thought was pretty cool. I am going to change that a little bit. You'll see towards the end. I also have to apologize in advance. I lost some video, but I do go through and explain what I did off camera so that you can see where I made some changes to the layout. So I'll talk about that a little bit more. But this ends up being 4 pocket pages. So it's the front and back of 2 different pocket pages. So that is pretty much how the front is going to be. I do add a little bit of a piece down at the bottom just to bring in some of the pink, which is what I'm doing right here. I'm going to have some at the bottom underneath that shaker pocket, and I am going to have a little piece up at the banner, by the banner. And the reason for that is because I have those colors on the other pages as well, and I want to have continuity throughout these 4 pages because they all go together. There are a whole bunch of different layouts that go in this album. I've been working off and on for quite some time on this album, and it's nowhere near done. Maybe when I get it all done, I will do an album share, but it's a lot of pocket pages, and I don't work on those very frequently because I find them to be more difficult than a regular layout, because to me, any page that does, or any part of the pockets that don't have a photo in it, needs to be its own little tiny layout, basically. So, yeah, it's my own crazy, but it takes me longer to do these. And probably because I don't do them as often, so that is probably a really good reason on why it probably takes me longer as well. So I am trimming down these photos. I am going to back them with white paper. I'm not making you sit through me backing those with white paper. And those are the little tree frogs, or actually I don't even know that they're tree frogs. They're the frogs that live in this watering hole. And actually several of the kids had them in their hands or on their clothes, and so I took a picture of one of the kids there with it on his shirt, and so I just thought that would be fun to document. I'm just documenting the day. I'm adding more of that pink up at the top. I really like how that's looking. The mood board or the color inspiration that I had for off the board has almost all of these colors in it, so I really liked those colors, and it really was like, okay, go and work on your pocket pages and get that done. And so it just tied everything together really nicely. So these rub-ons, I think those are from One Canoe 2. I could not swear to it, but I think that's where they're from. And a couple of them worked really well, but a lot of them did not. And they're old. They've been in my stash for quite a while. And so off camera, I do go through and I transfer them all onto white paper, but you're going to see me struggle a bit here with transferring a couple of them. That little circular sticker that I put on there, it says Make Memories Today. It's just a clear sticker with white, and I really like how that looks. I have those clear stickers kind of here and there throughout the album, so just adding a little bit more continuity. And here I go with trying to use these rub-ons, just putting them onto white paper. A note to you, do not try rubbing them on over the top of your photos like I am doing there. Move your photos out of the way. Don't be lazy, because you can ruin your photos that way. It can leave marks. I was lucky that it didn't, but it can. So you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble here, but this is one of the ones that was working better than some of the other ones, in fact. But this one side of the wing was not working well. I tried heating it up and using it that way. That did not help at all. It just kind of warped the paper that it was on. So what I ended up doing was the ones that did not stick well, I pulled the backing off and I put a really thin amount of the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive onto the actual rub-on, and then I stuck it onto the white paper, and I waited for it to dry, and then I peeled the top off. And it worked fairly well. It didn't get everything, but I don't mind them kind of having like a distressed look where the wings are not perfect and stuff. But it got most of it. And I figured, what's the worst that could happen? Because obviously, if I can't rub them onto the paper in the traditional way that you do a rub-on, they're either going to go in the trash bin, or I could try using the glue and see if it worked. And lo and behold, it did work fairly well, and I'm pretty happy with the way that they turned out. So that bottom middle card that I stuck in there is going to change. It is not going to stay there, and that is based on what happens on the next 2 pages, which is where I lost some of the footage. So you're seeing that page there in pretty much how it's going to end up, but I am going to add a couple of different things to it. I am going to add some yellow paper behind that sun, and that is what I'm making here. I'm using my Distress Oxide inks in Squeezed Lemonade, Mustard Seed, Fossilized Amber, and I think that's it. I think those are the 3 that I used. And so I'm just kind of randomly rubbing on each color. Oh, I also use Scattered Straw. There was a 4th one. So I'm just randomly rubbing it on there. No rhyme or reason. I don't want it to have a pattern or anything, but I want there to be highs and lows of the yellow, and warmer yellows and cooler yellows, if that makes any sense. The oranger ones are a little bit warmer than the bright yellow. And so I really like how it ends up looking. It gives a little bit of depth and interest to the sun when it's all said and done. Once I get that done, I'm going to go walk you through live what I did on the rest of the layout, because like I said, I lost some of the footage. So my sincere apologies for that. I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmers in Get Glowing to the top of these cards, and then I'm going to put you in real time. I went back and I added this yellow banner and this yellow piece down here, so that it would tie in to page 2, which is actually page 3, because this is page 1, this is page 2, but there's a backside to both. So here is the backside. I swapped out this butterfly to be a yellow one because I wanted to bring the yellow in more over here, because I have this big yellow sun. I took the leftover pieces of this part of the sun and tucked them in here to bring a little bit of yellow down. The butterfly that was down here, I moved over here, added my journaling onto this Memory Decks card, and it basically is talking about how a lot of our vacations looked, well, a lot of our school trips look like vacations, and a lot of our vacations look like school trips, because we homeschooled. Pretty much everything we did had an educational element to it anywhere we went, but we always tried to make it really fun and enjoyable for the entire family. This was actually a school trip, but in these photos it definitely looks like a vacation. And so I'm just talking about how those lines crossed over in so many ways for my kids when they were young. So, and then the back page brings you over here. Added those banner elements to kind of tie back into these banners. It doesn't have the blue, but the blue is up here, so I felt like that ties in well. And I swapped out this card to go ahead and be the one that says swim, soak, and play, because I thought that was really fitting for these. And then this one had that other piece in it, but I swapped it out for white, and then I just added the word journey, which kind of pulls in the same silver. It's not from the same collection or anything, but it pulls in the same silver wording and elements over to this page. So I thought it completes it nicely. And these pages will actually go in an album that is actually documenting this entire trip that we did for school. So this is really school related, even though, like I said, it doesn't look like it's school related. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, just documenting that those lines are were very blurred in our lives when my kids were small. So thanks so much for watching. I'll have another off the board for you tomorrow, and I'll be back next month for another scrapbooking from the heart. Bye-bye.